There is a quiet kind of power that does not announce itself, does not demand attention, and does not chase approval. Yet, wherever it appears, people instinctively adjust their behavior. They speak more carefully. They listen more closely. They show a level of respect that cannot be forced or faked. This power is not built through dominance or loudness, but through inner discipline, clarity of mind, and emotional control. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that respect is not something you demand from the world, but something you naturally attract when your character becomes undeniable. In a world where most people are reacting constantly, chasing validation and exposing every thought to public judgment, the Stoic path feels almost invisible at first. But over time it creates something rare, a person who is unshakable, a person who does not bend under pressure, a person who does not lose themselves in praise or insult. And this is where real respect begins, not from what you say, but from what you refuse to be controlled by. The first lesson begins with a principle that governs everything else, the dichotomy of control. Most people suffer not because life is difficult, but because they attempt to control what was never theirs to control. They try to manage opinions, outcomes, timing, and external events. And in doing so, they constantly feel frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. The Stoic understands something radically different. There are only two categories in life: what is within your control and what is not. Within your control are your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, and your discipline. Outside your control are other people's opinions, external events, opportunities, and outcomes. When a person fully internalizes this distinction, their entire presence changes. They stop chasing approval because approval is not within their control. They stop fearing criticism because criticism is not within their control. Instead, they focus entirely on the quality of their character and the precision of their actions. This shift alone makes people notice you differently, not because you are trying to be impressive, but because you are no longer emotionally available for manipulation. You do not react to every insult. You do not collapse under pressure. You do not change your direction every time someone disagrees with you. And in a world full of reactive minds, calm certainty feels like authority. The second Stoic lesson is strategic scarcity and silence. Modern society has created an illusion that visibility equals value. People believe that the more they speak, post, explain, and justify themselves, the more they will be respected. But the Stoics would argue the opposite. Excess speech weakens presence. Constant exposure reduces mystery. And over-explaining your life invites unnecessary judgment. Silence, when used correctly, is not weakness. It is discipline. It is the ability to hold your plans without broadcasting them. It is the ability to observe without reacting. It is the strength to let your actions speak long after your words would have been forgotten. When a person becomes selective with their speech, people begin to listen more carefully when they finally do speak. Their words carry weight because they are not diluted by noise. There is a psychological shift that happens when someone stops trying to prove themselves. At first, others may not notice, but over time they begin to sense something different. This person is not seeking approval. They are not performing for attention. They are moving with intention. And that creates a natural form of respect that cannot be demanded, only earned through restraint. The third lesson is radical self-discipline, the foundation upon which all Stoic strength is built. Discipline is not punishment. It is not suffering for its own sake. It is the act of choosing your higher self over your immediate impulses. It is the refusal to be governed by comfort, distraction, or emotional urges. Most people live in negotiation with themselves. They say they will start tomorrow. They say they will change when conditions are better. They say they will act when motivation returns. But motivation is unstable. Conditions are never perfect. And tomorrow becomes a cycle that never ends. The Stoic breaks this cycle by removing negotiation entirely. They do what must be done, regardless of mood. They train their mind to act even when resistance appears. And in doing so, they build a reputation not just in the eyes of others, but within themselves. A person who keeps their internal promises develops a kind of silent authority. You begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, others unconsciously trust you as well, because people can sense when someone is aligned internally. They can feel when a person's words and actions match. They can detect when discipline is not temporary, but structural. And this is where respect begins to solidify, not through performance, but through consistency. Now, these three principles form the beginning of Stoic respect. Control what is yours. Remain silent where others are loud, and master yourself before trying to influence the world. But the deeper layers go further into emotional immunity, the transformation of adversity, and the quiet strength that makes a person unbreakable under criticism, and that is where the real philosophy begins to sharpen. The sixth Stoic lesson is the power of emotional restraint, the ability to feel without being ruled by what you feel. Most people misunderstand emotions as commands. When anger rises, they believe they must act on it. When fear appears, they believe they must obey it. When excitement arrives, they believe they must follow it without hesitation. But the Stoic perspective is radically different. Emotions are not instructions. They are signals, and signals must be interpreted, not blindly followed. A person who reacts immediately to every emotional impulse is not free, even if they believe they are expressing themselves. In truth, they are being controlled by internal states they did not choose. The Stoic builds a gap between impulse and action. In that gap lies freedom. In that gap lies strength. In that gap lies the ability to choose response rather than reaction. This is where respect begins to deepen. People naturally respect those who do not lose control of themselves in heated moments. When others escalate, you remain steady. When others panic, you remain composed. When others speak without thinking, you choose silence or precision. Over time, this creates a reputation that does not need to be announced. People simply know this person does not break easily, and there is something even more powerful hidden inside emotional restraint. It is predictability control. Most people are easy to read. Their reactions are immediate and familiar. They are offended easily, excited easily, discouraged easily. But a Stoic presence becomes less predictable in emotional terms, not because they are chaotic, but because they are measured. And people instinctively respect what they cannot easily manipulate or predict. The seventh and final Stoic lesson is identity independence. The quiet understanding that your worth does not come from external recognition, roles, or achievements. It comes from your character alone. Most people build their identity on fragile foundations: job titles, social approval, relationships, or temporary success. When these external structures shift, their sense of self collapses with them. The Stoic builds differently. They anchor identity in behavior, not circumstance. You are not your job. You are not your audience's approval. You are not your temporary success or failure. You are the quality of your choices under pressure. You are your discipline when no one is watching. You are your integrity when there is no reward for being honest. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. When you are no longer desperate to maintain an image, you become more authentic. When you are not trying to protect a fragile identity, you become more fearless. And when fear decreases, presence increases. People begin to feel that you are grounded in something deeper than social validation. At this stage, respect is no longer something you pursue. It becomes something that follows you, because people sense when someone is not performing life, but living it from a place of internal certainty. You do not need to announce your value. You do not need to defend your position. You simply exist in alignment with your principles. And now, when we look back at all 7 Stoic lessons, a pattern becomes clear. Each one removes dependency. The dichotomy of control removes dependency on external outcomes. Silence removes dependency on approval. Discipline removes dependency on comfort. Immunity to criticism removes dependency on opinion. Transformation of obstacles removes dependency on ideal conditions. Emotional restraint removes dependency on impulse. And identity independence removes dependency on external validation. What remains after all dependencies are stripped away is a person who is internally complete. Not perfect, but stable. Not emotionless, but governed by reason. Not detached from life, but deeply engaged with it without being controlled by it. This is the kind of person people respect instantly. Not because they demand it, but because their presence communicates something rare: self-mastery. In a world where most people are constantly pulled in every direction by external forces, the person who is internally anchored becomes naturally influential. Stoicism does not promise that life will become easier. It promises that you will become stronger than what life throws at you. And in that strength, respect is no longer something you chase. It becomes a natural consequence of who you have become. Because in the end, people do not truly respect perfection. They respect control. They respect discipline. They respect calmness under pressure. And above all, they respect a human being who has mastered themselves in a world that rarely stops to do so. The fourth Stoic lesson is immunity to criticism, one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Most people believe that confidence is about proving others wrong or defending oneself against judgment. But the Stoic does not build their identity on the shifting opinions of others in the first place. If your sense of worth depends on praise, then criticism will always have power over you. You will live at the mercy of voices you cannot control. The Stoic solution is not to fight criticism, but to become indifferent to it. This does not mean becoming arrogant or dismissive of feedback. It means developing an internal standard so clear and so grounded that external opinions no longer destabilize you. When someone criticizes you, you do not immediately react or defend. Instead, you evaluate. Is there truth here? If yes, you adapt. If no, you release it without emotional disturbance. This calm filtering process creates a powerful psychological effect. People begin to notice that you are not easily provoked. You are not easily manipulated through praise or insult. You remain steady. And in a world where most people are emotionally reactive, steadiness becomes authority. It becomes presence. It becomes respect. The fifth lesson is the Stoic practice of transforming obstacles. Life does not become easier for the Stoic. It becomes meaningful in a different way. Every obstacle, every setback, every moment of frustration becomes raw material for growth. This is the principle often summarized as embracing fate, not resisting it. Most people interpret obstacles as interruptions to their progress. The Stoic interprets them as part of the progress itself. A delay becomes a chance to develop patience. A failure becomes a lesson in humility. A betrayal becomes a test of emotional control. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Everything is integrated into development. When people observe someone who does not break under pressure, something changes in their perception. They begin to associate that person with strength. Not because life has been easy for them, but because life has tested them and they did not collapse. This is one of the deepest forms of respect a human being can receive. The recognition that they are unbreakable in adversity. And finally, all of these lessons converge into a single presence. A person who is controlled internally, silent when necessary, disciplined in action, immune to emotional manipulation, and capable of transforming adversity into growth. This is not a loud presence. It does not seek attention, yet it commands it naturally. Stoicism does not teach you how to dominate others. It teaches you how to master yourself so completely that domination becomes irrelevant. When you are no longer predictable, no longer reactive, and no longer dependent on external validation, people begin to treat you differently. Not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. And this is only the beginning of the deeper Stoic framework that builds unshakable character.